Today I'm going to talk to you about the basics of translation, and that there are a lot of people that have a lot of misconceptions or misunderstandings about translation. So I just want to educate people and let people know, kind of the basics of, how the industry works. To start off, a lot of people think that translation is taking the words from one language and then putting in, switching it for the equivalents in the second language. But it's really, it's more than that. A better way to think of it is translators translate messages, not just words. So the most important thing is the message, the intended effect that you want to carry over to your audience. And another thing that's not commonly understood is translators need to do a lot of research, and it's not just looking up a word, in a dictionary or online, whatever. You want to make sure you use the correct word and the correct word in context as well. And for that reason, a lot of translators are going to, they specialize, whether it be legal or medical, whatever it is. That way they are familiar with, the context of that industry and the topics in that niche. And so there are two common things that translators, I guess you could say, kind of get annoyed by or bothered by. And the first one, it has to do with prices. The way the prices work, I'm going to be honest about this. I'm in the industry. But I'm going to be honest, according to Prozia.com, the average for Spanish translators is 11 cents per word. That's the average pay. And again, like the way that the industry works is usually paying by word, so that's something you need to understand. But there are a lot of people that are just trying to, get away with, just 3 cents a word, paying 3 cents a word to translate and expecting excellent quality. And then there are three things. You're either going to get speed, you're going to get quality, or you're going to get cheap labor. Very rarely will you get all three at once. You get to decide which ones you need. The second topic, the second subject that really bothers translators is extremely fast turnaround times. Most translators translate, 2,000 words or so a day, and then there are a lot of times where people ask translators to, in 24 hours do, 4, 5, 6,000 words, and it's ridiculous. So just educating people there, just kind of on the limits that a translator has. And then the last topic I want to talk about is technology. Everyone says, oh, stuff like, computers like, Google Translate, those types of technology, those, applications are going to eventually take over translation. And the truth is, at least for now, they're not. And a lot of translators think in the near future, it's not going to happen either. I happen to think that, sure, there's a possibility in the future that happens, but we're still a little bit away from that. So there are some risks, with using something like Google Translate, but it can be a good thing. Some of the risks, for example, there's a story, I think it's from the BBC, where Russia was translated as Mordor. So kind of a funny thing there. You don't quite want that to happen in your translations. But yeah, so things like that. If it is just a simple message you want to get across, not really in a specific niche, or not too technical, you can go ahead and use that. If the importance is not very high, if it is high importance, you probably want to go to some type of service for that. Now, ways you can use translation, something like Google Translate is, with this translation service you go to, is they can do something called post-editing, and that's where they will run the text through Google Translate, and then afterwards they'll go through, edit and revise to make sure that everything looks good there. So there are some tools that are out there that can be used. Some other common tools in the translation industry include translation memory, where it can recognize when there's been an exact phrase that you've already used previously in that translation or another translation. So it'll tell you, hey, you've used this exact one, and it'll make that suggestion. So it can really speed things up. And it'll also let you know if it's a close match, if it's like, it's called a fuzzy match. And so translators have a choice there, if it's close, maybe they only need to change one or two words out. So there's that, and then there are also glossaries that help translators to be able to use words in the right context. And so, thank you for watching.